Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, yeah, the Legend Bay dilemma between Ohio State and Tennessee. And for the Tennessee Vols fans, this little bit of deja vu, or here we go again. We've got a player in Legend Bay. He's out of Texas and plays quarterback. Now, he's being recruited as a wide receiver. His rating has jumped a little bit. It was a high 3-star, low 4-star. Now he's a mid 4-star. Heck of an athlete. Very dynamic, electric. And I think he's been a little bit underrated because he plays quarterback. A lot of times these high schools, they're so desperate to get their best player the ball, they just put him at quarterback. It's like, well, he touches it every time.
Logical.
So it's really hard to gauge them as a wide receiver, which is what he'll probably play in college, because you just haven't really seen him at that. But you can tell he's super talented. And he had actually committed to the Vols back in June. But he went and took a visit to Ohio State, which is, they're known for wide receivers. And he flipped to them in November. But then on December 3rd, he signed with the Vols. And I thought that was kind of odd. And of course, the Ohio State fans would give me a bunch of grief when he flipped.
Hey, that hurts.
And I was like, at the time, I hadn't really covered him very much. And he was a low 4-star. And I was like, we've got the number 1 wide receiver in the country and a couple other great wide receivers. What do we really care? It's not a big deal. But Ohio State fans really wanted him. So when he flipped on decision day, that surprised everybody. They were not expecting it. And it turns out that his family wanted him to go to Tennessee, but he wanted to go to Ohio State. And there's been a whole lot of turbulence over this. And of course, Brian Hartline, who is their wide receivers coach, offensive coordinator, and all that, is taking the USF job, which is where Alex Golesh was. And I told you, we're in the domino effect part of the season, where one coach leaves, another one fills it, and it all happens during the playoffs, AKA Lane Kiffin. But most coaches handle it professionally. They don't do the Lane Kiffin bad exit the way he always does. The guy cannot leave a college without pissing him off.
How dare you?
Well, anyway, because Brian Hartline decided to take a head coaching job, which you can't really blame him for that. I actually thought he might take the Penn State job. But anyway, he took USF. That also kept Ohio State from getting their number 1 5-star wide receiver, although it may be a money issue between them and Oregon. So Ohio State's had a lot of controversy because of that. It's tough when you've got a main coach or a primary coach leave when he's been doing a lot of the recruiting, especially at wide receiver. So they're dealing with something they're not really used to up there, and that's having to make sure they got wide receivers. Because when you look at their commits, it's typically 5-star, 5-star, 5-star wide receiver, and this year it's not. So getting Legend Bay is important to them right now. Whereas Tennessee, like I said, I just didn't think it was that big a deal because we'd already gotten our number 1 wide receiver guy, and we're loaded at wide receiver. And here's the thing that concerns me. If you get too many wide receivers and they're all 4 and 5 stars, next thing you know, you've got tons of money sitting on the bench. And our defense sucks right now. It's terrible. We had the top 10 defense the year before. Well, this year we were awful. If we'd have had even a decent defense, we make the playoffs because we were the number 1 offense in the SEC. But our defense couldn't stop a runny nose. I mean, that's just a fact. You saw it in the Vandy game. I thought Diego, I think he had like 500 yards on his own. So to me, I didn't see it as that big a deal. It's like, we'll take the Legend Bay money and go get us a safety or a cornerback or a defensive lineman about 300 pounds that can stop the run. But, you don't know how he's going to turn out. He might turn out to be real dynamic. The other issue with Tennessee is we've dealt with players and their family. NICO IAMALIAVA, Boo Carter. It usually doesn't end well for us. So I'm like, well, you know what? If he wants to go there, first of all, if he wants to go there, he needs to go there. I don't want a player here that doesn't want to be here. That doesn't make any sense because that's not going to end well. And you can see, I mean, he had all this stuff set up for Ohio State. That's clearly where he wanted to go. But I don't want to deal with people's family. That never ends well. So I would prefer, at this point, he just go where he wants to go. And he's going to be 18 in like 3 weeks, so he can just do it. It's not a big deal. And I do want to show you what Buckeye Scoop, they were talking about it. And actually, Devin emailed me about it, and I told him the same thing. It's like, if he wants to go to Ohio State, I'm fine with that. I don't think anybody here is going to be all tore up about it. And here on Buckeye Scoop, you can see, I mean, right here, this was the guy's setup. I mean, it's pretty obvious where he wanted to go. It's kind of hard to argue with that. There's no orange anywhere in here.
Yeah, you've got a picture up right there. That's Legend Bay's thing for his signing day at his school. And like I said yesterday, he was dressed up like the love child of Buckeye Guy and Big Nut. You know what I'm saying? So he's head to toe in Ohio State stuff, got his Ohio State thing, Ohio State colors, Ohio State thing. And then his mom won't sign the paperwork. There seems to be a little bit of controversy right now as to whether or not I've got it from some pretty credible people that he actually signed the paperwork to Ohio State, and that his mom contacted Ohio State and asked him to rescind the letter of intent from Ohio State. And I think that's what happened. I think Ohio State, it's like, look, we don't want anybody to be here who doesn't want to be here. So they rescinded it. Legend then goes and signs with Tennessee under crazy duress. And then today, Legend goes on and puts out a post on X, which is quickly deleted. But it basically, you can read it there on the thing, but it basically says, my brother has my account and they won't let me have access to it because I won't sign to the school with him that him and my mother want. And then that post got deleted. So,
yeah, this seems pretty simple to me. He needs to just go ahead and go to Ohio State. And look, I hope he has a fine career. I'm not going to sit here and disparage him in the slightest. Look, you're 17, 18 years old. Go live your life, dude. Go live your life. And for Tennessee fans, don't be upset about it. I'm sure he was getting good money from Tennessee. They can simply take that money and go get a defensive player that we need much more. Like I said, we're golden at wide receiver, folks. We had 3 of the top 10 wide receivers in the SEC last year. That's just a fact. Braylon Staley, Chris Brazzell, and Mike Matthews. All super high 4 stars or 5 stars. We've got 3 more 4 stars on the bench, and we're bringing in the #1 wide receiver in the country. And plenty more behind that. So we're fine there. And Ohio State, they're focused on getting Chris Henry. That's their 5-star wide receiver that was committed but hasn't signed. So they're dealing with that. Legend Bay could be a heck of a player. But he's coming in as a true freshman. How much is he really going to play? I'm telling you, Tennessee, we need to go out in the transfer portal and get a guy that's a junior and has been like all conference and spend money there on the defensive end, not on the offense. And a running back. We've got a decent running back crew, but we need another Dylan Sampson or somebody along those lines that can make people miss and create extra yardage, the run after the contact deal. Because we're not getting quite enough of that. You could tell we did 2 things really bad this year. Our defense stunk, and then we didn't run the ball like we normally do. And that's really important. Now, we threw the ball great. Joey Aguilar was terrific. He led the SEC and all the Power 4 in yardage per game. He was fine. And I think he'll be back next year. I think he's suing the NCAA because he's got an extra year coming to him in Division I, and I think he's going to get it. But for Legend Bay, dude, go be happy, man. Go be happy and play for the team you want to play for. The last thing we want at Tennessee is somebody doesn't want to be there. We've dealt with that. That never ends well, folks. So have a good career. I wish you the best. And no hard feelings. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's me know. Continue to cover all these big college sports stories. If you've not subscribed, boom, boom, and boom, hit that button right there. It won't cost you a dime. Help you get my videos. And right over here's the most recent video. YouTube, thanks, you'll enjoy. We'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.